Good evening, everyone. My name is Evangeline Byars, train operator at New York City Transit and member of TW Local 100, coming to you all live with a State of the Union address to talk about the current state of our union and what we need to do as members to forward our fight to take back our union, um, to ensure our longevity and livelihood as employees of New York City Transit. So I'll give you all some more time to come on before I get into what's been happening. Giving you all more time to come in. Giving some more people time to come in before I get started talking about the state of our union. It's been a minute since I've been on. A lot has happened, a lot is happening, and we need to talk about what's going on within our union and where we are as members. Give some more people time to come in. Okay. So as you all know, my name is Evangeline. I'm a train operator and at New York City Transit. And today I'm going to talk about the state of our union and the things that's been going on within our union. I've been away for a while because I've been working on a lot of things. So I'm here to give you all an update and to sort of guide us into where it is that we need to be going in our focus, because it's pretty much all over the place. There's a lot of things that are happening within our union, and we need to basically take the reins, right, and be able to hold our elected leaders accountable and prepare for what is next in the future of TW Local 100. So I'm going to start off with New York State Paid Family Leave. So New York State Paid Family Leave came into our contract in 2019. It was approved and agreed upon between TW Local 100 and the MTA. However, here we are almost 3 years later, and there has been no implementation of New York State Paid Family Leave, leaving thousands of our members destitute without any type of relief when it comes to their finances when they're out on maternity leave, if they have a sick loved one, or if they have a family member that is deployed to active military duty. Currently, we've already done the step 1 hearing in RTO. Stations Department has done their hearing. We're waiting on MAP STOA and the rest of the departments to have their hearings. Throughout the local, grievances are being submitted to demand the implementation of New York State Paid Family Leave. Understand that there's a lot that is going on in regard to New York State Paid Family Leave. Throughout the state, people have already been receiving New York State paid family leave. It's been implemented since 2016. It took effect in 2018. And so in order for us to be able to get it, we have to file these grievances because it's been long overdue. It's been over almost 3 years. Now, what has been happening on the front of getting it implemented is that we have been being fought by our local, right? I contacted Tony Atano, the president of the union, first to request a meeting with him, myself and the other women of the organization I started, Women Uplifting Women. I'll get into that next. And we demanded that we have a meeting with Tony Atano to discuss New York State paid family leave and to talk about the families that are basically in distress due to the fact that this leave has not been implemented. We scheduled a meeting with him. We let him know that we would be showing up on a Friday, himself and the women's committee leader or chair, Deborah Brown. They decided to leave for the day. They refused to meet with us. So in lieu of them doing that, we decided to go ahead and move forward with these grievances. By filing the grievances, it gave us the ability to start to demand that something happen and to get answers from the MTA as to why this leave had not been implemented. New York City Transit has said that they have been meeting with our union. However, I have no evidence, nothing, to prove that they have been meeting, nothing. I've requested an information request to the union to give us this information. They have refused to give the information. They're not giving it, and we're on our way to our step 2 hearing scheduled for August 2nd at 10 a.m. And so why this is important, there is thousands and thousands of dollars that is being withheld from families because of this, right? And unless we pressure our union, we will not have it. One of the things that's happening also within RTO, which is my department, our VP is Camila Gomez. And because I filed a grievance for New York State paid family leave, and he never did his due diligence to read the bylaws and understand or read with understanding what the bylaws say, or understand the contract when it comes to grievances, has put out erroneous information, false information, as it pertains to how one is to file a contract interpretation grievance or to file a grievance, period. If you need to file a grievance, all you have to do is contact the chair or the section chair of your department. You give them the grievance, you fill it out, you give it to them, and you let them know that you want to file this grievance. If it's an et-al grievance, which means there's three or more people on the grievance, that grievance has to be heard within 10 days, right? So that means time is of the essence. You have to move quickly because it's urgent. Currently, they've been throwing away grievances, not putting grievances, not submitting grievances and putting the grievances in. As a result of that, many people have differential grievances that are et-al grievances that have not been heard. All throughout the local people, even some chairs, when you talk to them about this, they say, oh, we could just throw it in the garbage. You know, it doesn't have to move anywhere, but that's not true. Once you submit your grievance to the union and your chair is in receipt of it, you then can create an email, upload that same grievance. In that email, you can, in the subject, you put that it's in a grievance, whatever it's about, and you also add the head of labor relations, which is Kim Moore Ward, whoever is the superintendents or managers in your department who handle grievances, you add them to it. Jack Blazewicz, who is the head of grievance and discipline on TWU Local 100 side, and the original chairman or vice chair that you took the grievance to, right? You add them to it and you hit send, right? Everybody is notified at one time. One, you have already notified the union that your department, the chair of your department, that you have a grievance, right? You've submitted it to them. You've talked about it with them. And now this grievance needs to be assigned a number and signed and scheduled. If that is understand that, if that is not happening, in your department when you're dealing with your grievance, right? This is how you handle it to make sure that your grievance gets heard. Because I understand the grievance process and how to make things happen, Camila Gomez went and filed a fraudulent charges on me, stating that I filed a grievance without first talking to the VP of the department. I mean, without first getting permission from the vice chairman, which is Aaron Morrison, which is not true. I met with Aaron Morrison at 2 Broadway and gave him the grievance. His name was on it. I told him that I wanted him to represent the grievance. I thought he would be the best person for the job, and I gave it to him. When I gave it to him, he took it. We texted the next day. I called. Actually, he submitted. He said he hadn't gotten around to doing anything with it yet. And then I said, okay. So I formed the email, put Valerie DeBoss, Kim Ward, Aaron Morrison, Jack Blazewicz, and everybody in the same email and sent it off, right? Everybody is now officially notified of this grievance. There's no longer Aaron just walking around with it in his possession. However, Aaron later, J.L. Rodriguez, who is the chairman of the department, later went on to say that Aaron gave it to him, that it was in his receipt. It took me almost 2 weeks to get the grievance submitted, a lot of back and forth with labor relations, until I sent one final email and they scheduled the hearing. And that's how we got it going. That is the same thing that you have to do when it comes to your grievances. You have the right to file a grievance. It is federal law. Has nothing to do with the union agreeing to whether or not you can. Anything in your contract can be grieved. So you can grieve it. So New York State Paid Family Leave is on its way. Once we finish this next step 2 hearing, we will be preparing for arbitration. The union has the right to take it to arbitration. So we'll see what Yatano and them do. We'll see if the president of the union and his cabinet, which is Richie Davis, Latanya Chris, and Linwood Richard. Let's see if they push this through and make sure that it is that this becomes a part of our contract, that it is fully implemented and people are able to receive their benefits. There's so many people losing money right now out with no pay because of the fact that this leave has not been implemented. And again, there's a lot of issues around employee availability in our union. In our contract, employee availability, when our employees are available for work and it improves, right, to the point where management and is seeing some type of benefit from it, right? They're making money. They share the proceeds between the union and management, which is not in our best interest, right? I believe that this is why New York State Paid Family Leave has not been agreed upon, because families would be able to access this leave, which will affect employee availability. The same reason why they are neglecting to fix the comp situation, allowing so many of our members to go unpaid. All has to do with employee availability and this quid pro quo type of arrangement between management and our union, which is disgusting. The fact that our union shares in the profits means that they are looking at us as profits and gains instead of members and employees, right? Who they have to serve and provide for and make sure that we're okay. With this happening, so many of our members, not only the people who are pregnant or have family members who are sick and ill, or those who are deployed to active military duty, but it's also affecting people who are on comp. The other day, you saw Tremel Thompson do a video with the young lady who was dealing with the terrorist situation, right? And talking about that. When that first occurred, You saw our union go to Gracie Mansion, meet with the mayor. You saw all the photo ops and everybody get awards. But Canilla, the VP of the department, did not do his due diligence and to take care of that young lady. She even said when she saw him in passing, he just basically said hi. Never thought about her well-being or how she was doing or to make sure that she was okay. Just understand something. If he's doing that to her, imagine what's happening to the rest of the department. It's neglected, severely neglected. But he wants you to think that he's doing a great job. So he's running around, standing by trains, asking you, is the air conditioning working? And doing things for photo ops and a lot of games and a lot of showboating. However, the serious business of the department is going neglected. The next issue that we have in RTO is dealing with cameras on our train. Canilla Gomez said that he inherited this camera situation. He didn't inherit anything. Eric Logel never signed any stipulations given transit permission to put cameras in our cabs. Eric Logel at yesterday's train operator meeting made it very clear that he did not sign any stipulation. And I know that that's true because I was there, right? And there was no stipulation that came to our department that Eric Logel put his signature on that would approve cameras in our cab. Furthermore, listen to the language of Canilla Gomez. He's talking about parity with buses, which means somewhere along in his mind that he may have already come to an agreement that at some point he is going to agree with this, right? Currently, he has not agreed to it. J.L. Rodriguez, when I questioned him about how he felt, the chair of the department, about cameras in our cabs, emphatically said no. He would not agree or sign anything to put cameras on the members of Local 100 or agree to that. So we have to make sure that the next train operator meeting, that the train operators and conductors all pack out these meetings so that you can let your voices be heard. When they do not see you in attendance, they feel like they can do whatever they want. They feel like they can do whatever they want anyway. They don't believe that they're beholden to the people who put them there, right? They do not believe that. They believe that they can do whatever they want. And it's showing in the behavior of the department. But I want to go back to what Canilla did when he went and put charges on me, stating that I improperly submitted a grievance. One, Canilla cannot file charges on me with someone's name on it. So Aaron Morrison's name and signature was on the document. However, Aaron Morrison said he told Canilla not to do that because it was not true, that the contents of what was written on union letterhead by the attorneys to falsely charge me with improperly submitting a grievance, bypassing the duly elected grievance committee, bypassing everybody and just going straight to management, which is not true. That did not occur. I did not do that. By putting that in there and going to Latanya Chris, who is the recording secretary of TW Local 100. Anytime you bring a charge on someone, you have to show up in person to the recording secretary. Either Latanya Chris or her receptionist will take the charges, make sure that they are signed in front of them and stamped, received, and then they'll give them to, then they'll receive it, and you'll receive a registered mail the next day, proof that you filed those charges. But Canilla, as we learned during the 2021 elections, that Canilla Gomez is a scammer. He steals. He is prone to stealing. He's a thief. And there is no honor amongst thieves. So he didn't think it was anything wrong or that he would even get caught. He thought that this would just slide by the membership, that nobody would see or know what it is that he did, that no one would ever find out that he did this. But on the day that it was submitted, I was told about it, given a copy of the charges, and as I read the charges, I immediately contacted Aaron Morrison, who denied it emphatically asked me to send him a text message of what it was I was talking about, and said that he had never signed that document, and he did not give that to Canilla to submit to anybody. He told Canilla when Canilla wanted to charge me that he could not do it because it was wrong and that he did not agree with him. However, Canilla went ahead and did it anyway. He went ahead and did it anyway, and he has no business doing that. If he tried to frame me, who is very, very capable of speaking up for herself, very vocal, very visible, I have a legal team that is surrounding me, that works very closely with me, and if he thought he could get away with that with me, imagine what he's doing to the rest of the members of TW Local 100. Imagine what's happening to the rest of our members at his hands. Moving on to what's happening in the rest of the union. The comp situation is not only happening in RTO, it's happening in stations, it's happening in CED, it's happening in MOW and in buses, it's happening throughout the system. And what the members have to do, we have to come together and demand that Local 100 do something about it. All of the photo ops, all of the pageantry, all of the grandstanding that we see that is going on, while we all are suffering in our jobs, dealing with the unsafe conditions at our job, the uptick in assaults, the violence all over the place, the on people's workers' compensation claim, designating them injured on duty when they were assaulted, all of the different things that have been happening. We have to make sure as members of Local 100 that this stops. The only way that this stops is if we all band together and start to push to make sure that this happens. So here are some of the things that we have been doing. We started a women's committee called Women Uplifting Women. It started in March of 2022. I was attending a union meeting and asking to be a part of the RTO's women's committee because I'm already a part of the women's committee, but RTO said that they were going to have this special women's committee. So I wanted to be a part of it, being that I'm working on women's issues. The VP of my department told me to no, you can't be a part, go start your own women's committee. However, I was already in the midst of starting a women's organization that would encompass all working women throughout the MTA and even women who are not a part of the MTA because the need is so great for women's rights are constantly violated. Human rights, civil rights, our rights are just violated as women. And so we started this organization and things are moving along. We had our first women's brunch in April 23rd of 2022. It went exceptionally well. Our first order of business was to get a handle on the comp situation. The women in my organization are all very well versed on comp. If you want to join, Women Uplifting Women or find out more information on New York State Family League or Women Uplifting Women, the ticker is at the bottom of the screen. You can just, contact us, go to the website. All of the information is there. Find out what's going on with New York State Family League. It's a lot of pertinent information and videos there that you can go in and watch. And so we started the Women's Committee, and the Women's Committee is going really strong. On August 31st, we will have our next women's mixer where the women will come out. We'll be dealing with issues that are happening with women, dealing with women's health and other issues for us to discuss and just for us to network and talk about our issues and to make sure that we are being taken care of. Currently, throughout the MTA, there are active human rights cases for disparative treatment, EEO charges all over the system. Supervisors who have been written up due to the mistreatment and the harassment that women and men on the job are experiencing. And so even though we are a women's organization, we could not do what we do without the support of men. We are heavily supported by the men of New York City Transit. We appreciate you, we applaud you, but there was some really, really serious issues. As you know, when the young lady lost her baby in the train yard, I sprung into action as an executive board member and demanded a meeting that Monday when everybody was back from the weekend when the young woman lost her baby. That led to me having a meeting with Sarah Feinberg and asking her to implement an Office of Reasonable Accommodation, make the dedicated announcer positions available to the women of not only of local 100, of RTO specifically, but that this Office of Reasonable Accommodation, we would explore all of the other avenues for the other departments, right? Tony Atano said I didn't have that jurisdiction to talk on behalf of all the women, but I pushed anyway, and Sarah Feinberg and Kim Ward said that they would explore the possibility of us, and they actually agreed to it, of beginning an Office of Reasonable Accommodation. Tony Atano then went behind our backs and made an agreement with Transit to only give 4 dedicated announcer positions to the women in RTO. And in doing that, we only have 4 positions, although we have hundreds of women that get pregnant. However, since Jillian lost her baby, now when women get pregnant, if you call the crew office, or the crew office becomes aware, they will accommodate you and make sure that whatever your job that you're doing, that you are safe, right? But the next step that you all have to do is that even if they're giving you an accommodation, you still need to fill out the form, the request for reasonable accommodation, because when you do not fill out those forms, if and when you do not fill out those forms, there's no record that there are women who are pregnant in Local 100. We've also been assisting the women of ATU. ATU women have a very strong women's committee. They work together, and they have been solving the issues of women in their department. They're now getting their women reasonable accommodations. They're filling out the forms, and their women are being taken care of as well. So understand that this is a real movement to ensure that women in the MTA, New York City Transit, TA, and OA employees, that we begin to be treated as human beings, that our bodies be respected, that our wounds be respected by the MTA, that no longer will women only have 2 weeks to go out on maternity leave, when if you have a cesarean section, it takes 8 weeks to heal. So we're working tirelessly on it. There's a group of us, there's a lot of us that are working on it. I'm just bringing you this update today because we have a lot going on, a lot that we're working on. Also, I want you all to be very careful and to be safe. I was contacted by a woman from CED who told her supervisor that the area that she was working in was unsafe. After reporting it to the supervisor, he then told her to go back to her work location where she was assaulted and robbed, in that same area where she told her supervisor that she was unsafe. They then tried to force her off of comp and force her back to work. We got her a lawyer to assist her and to help her in that matter, and she's doing well. All across the system, assaults are taking place, and there's nothing being done to look out for our workers. So it's very important that we all understand what's happening and how to stay safe. If you are in an unsafe condition or working in an unsafe area, and your supervisor, who knows that we're in a climate right now where things are really, really unsafe, refuses to accommodate you, what I need you to do is to request a safety dispute resolution form. Request it. When you do that, it shields you from discipline, and you are able now to document what is happening and to get some form of relief. Somebody has to come out to your work location to check to see what is going on and resolve the issue. So make sure you're utilizing the safety dispute resolution forms going forward. Furthermore, it is very important that we just continue to work together, that we understand that we are stronger together. There's nobody or nothing that can break us when we are a unified front. And in order for us to do this, we have to communicate with one another. We have to let each other know when things are happening so that we can solve the issues. If you don't let us know what's happening, we cannot move on it to make sure that it's happening. There was a supervisor at 179. His name is McClendon, who is infamous for harassing employees and being just a nuisance in his job. He has now backed off after employees have written him up. He has EEO complaints that are active against him, and we're just waiting to see the determination of that. Again, there are human rights violations for disparate treatment and all kind of stuff that's happening in our locals. So just know that you can sue the employer if they for human rights violations, civil rights violations, if you're being constantly assaulted, you're not being kept safe. They have the duty of protecting us and keeping us safe. Another issue that has come up is that it is being talked about that in next contract negotiation, they may try to remove spitting as a part of, as removed, where you would not be able to get 2 years off for being assaulted, right? And so we need to make sure that you know what's going on and ask your union reps about this, your chairs, your vice chairs, your VPs of your department. Ask the union about it. As you can see, we have no mass membership meeting since 2020. We have not gathered and met to talk about anything union related and mass number. They will say that it's equated because of COVID. However, they've gone to Las Vegas, they constantly have meetings, and nothing has happened, right? So we're not having mass membership meetings. It's to their benefit and not to ours, because that's where we gather for a day. We get to all talk to each other and meet and talk about different issues and also challenge our union. So it's important that we all stay vigilant and understand that we have to pick up the mantle and the mandate and move this union forward. We must do it. It is our obligation. We cannot wait for somebody else to do it. We are the change that we need to see. So moving forward, I hope that this video was informative. I hope that you all have an idea of what it is that I've been working on. Oh, before we close out, just to let you know, remember back in 2020, I sued the union for over the dues issue, for breaching its contract between us and the union, right? And so we have now appealed to the appellate court that horrible decision by Judge Roshland, saying that the union does not have to notify you if you're in bad standing. Understand, if we're going to flip this union the way Stacey Abrams flipped Georgia, what every member is going to have to do is take responsibility and make sure that you are in good standing. Remember, the union said that they will not notify you. So if you are a member and you're seeing this video, please know that if you were out on comp, sick, injured for any reason, you went off payroll, you are currently in bad standing after 45 days of not having dues paid to the union, right? They have changed the international constitution's interpretation of how we pay dues and come up with their own interpretation. And so in order for us to all be in compliance, while we wait to see what happens in the appellate court, if this is overturned, because it is a horrible ruling, we have to continue to make sure that we are in good standing, continuous good standing, and that everybody is paying their dues. So again, my name is Evangeline Byars. I'm a train operator. If you want to find out more information or connect with me in any way, you can go to evangelinebyars.com. My information is there, the information of the women who you can contact if you need to find out information or get any information about what's going on. You can go right there. And then there's also other tabs that you can look under to find out things on workers' compensation, grievance and discipline, files and stuff that you can just look at and take or download for your own use. So I hope that this State of the Union address has been informative. I hope that you understand that I am hard at work trying to make sure that our contractual gains are implemented and also protected. Before we close out, I also want to let you all know that right now there are vacancies in RTO for the e-board seat. We have 2 vacant e-board seats that need to be filled. It's been past 60 days for both seats. It is time that the members of RTO demand that they make available the petitions and call for an election, a special election for executive board in RTO. It is very, very important that you all contact your union members, your union reps, and ask them, why is it that the e-board, those 2 seats on the e-board still are not filled, right? And that we need to have a special election. There are also multiple seats in MAPSTOA that are vacancies. They also have an e-board vacancy in MAPSTOA. And it is time that they follow the bylaws and implement these special elections so that these seats can be filled by the members so that we can get on with the business of the union. So once again, my name is Evangeline Byars. I hope that this video was informative. I will be back with you soon. There's a lot of things that I'm working on that I'll be bringing you shortly, but I just wanted to bring the State of the Union to you to let you know what I've been up to and what's been going on. Another thing before I close out that I'm forgetting is dealing with assaults and what we saw happen with the Enough is Enough March. We heard J.P. Patafia tell us on that day that there would be a follow-up rally to demand that something be done about what is happening in the Department of Buses. There was no delivery on that promise. To date, there has been no follow-up rallies or anything being done to ensure that bus drivers stay safe. We see a lot of posturing and grandstanding and saying, oh, we have police riding up and down the lines, but as the people who are experiencing, we know that these things are not true. We know that we are not being kept safe and that the system is not being manned the way that it is supposed to. And that real solutions dealing with the members or talking to us, who are those who are affected and understand how to solve these issues, are not being brought to the table to speak with those who are making decisions about our day-to-day lives, right? And so it is very important that we stop allowing them to keep telling us that things are happening or talking about us, but not including us in the conversation, not making sure that we're safe, just blowing up smoke and mirrors. Another thing that was very disappointing for me when I was at the rally is that all of the elected officials from the departments talked, right? But they did not give the members at large, the people who are actively being assaulted, a chance to voice what has been happening to them. When you have rallies and you bring out members in mass numbers, it's important that their stories be heard, not for you all to make your grandiose re-election speeches and things of that nature. We want to hear from the members. The members are the union, not the union reps. And until the members understand that this is their union, that you have a right to be heard and to participate in your union, these things are going to continue to persist, okay? It's not going to go away. It cannot be just one person. Me alone trying to do anything, it can only get but so far. But when we come together and we move in mass number and we organize and we strategize, we are the change that we seek and that we need to see. So again, my name is Evangeline Byars. We are stronger together. I'll be back with you to talk about you with all of these issues in more detail so that we can really understand what is happening in our union and how we are to move forward. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to fight, organize, and empower you and push you to be the best version of you that you can be and to take your rightful position in your union. And then to my sisters in the union, I am here for you. If you're pregnant, if you're being harassed, if you are dealing with any type of situation, you know you can call on me and I will make sure, or the team, all of the people that are connected to me will find a way to make sure that you are okay and that you are taken care of. Women are, and the jobs at the MTA are in non-traditional roles. These jobs do not come easy to us. But when I first came to transit, my background was in real estate. I didn't know anything about a resistor, a brake handle, what is that? Brake handles, how dynamic braking and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know anything about trains, right? And so, or the mechanical operation of trains. And it was something that had to be taught to me. It took me a while to get it. I struggled when I was in school car to learn all of the different parts of the rails and the end incline and everything with the power, how to read iron and all of that kind of stuff. It did not come to me easy. And as a woman who's in a job that's a non-traditional role, I'm supposed to be given certain supports. Those supports are not there, right? But what I have been is harassed, disrespected, and disparaged in so many ways just coming into New York City Transit. And that's what ignited my fight to become active and to stay active and to keep pushing. Even now, an incident happened on my train. Something hit my train. I heard a noise. I called it in. The next thing you know, they were taking me out of service for incident testing for something that had nothing to do with me. That's called retaliation and harassment. However, understand this, to all people who are in the union, all members of Local 100, all employees, understand this. The more active you are, the more protected you are. The more you know your rules and understand the bylaws and how this union runs and how New York City Transit runs, you become a protected class just based off of your activism. So it does not behoove you, it's not good for you to just be quiet and not say anything and not report what's going on, and not the same way they can write, you can write too. The same way they can write, you can write too, right? And understand, a superintendent cannot fire you. They can make your life uncomfortable. They can, harass you and use all type of tactics to try to break your will and make you feel uncomfortable, but they don't have the power to fire anybody. The only thing they can do is write a report, and you can write a report too. And that's why we have the grievance and discipline process and arbitration and all of those things to protect you from these things, right? And if for any chance you find that you're not being protected by the union, and you know you're going to arbitration, it is in your best interest to hire your own attorney, because when you hire your own attorney, if you are terminated, you can further fight for your job. But if you are fired and the union is, in charge of it, then that means you won't be able to get your job back. And the reason why I say this, let me just explain this part. There's been a few people that I've helped who were up for termination or who had been terminated. One was a young lady named Carla Sanchez. She was, if you all remember her, she was on probation. It was on the news that she was terminated. And she's a probationary person, and I helped her out. We got her an attorney. She went to court, and the judge gave her job back. Right? And everybody said, oh no, it was stupid, don't help her, it's a waste of time or whatever. It's never a waste of time. My approach is the Pat Lentz approach. I am always going to stand with our members. I'm never going against our members for management. I don't care what. I'm never going against our members for management. And Carla needed my help, and we helped her. Carla right now is in school car. She got her job back. She's doing well. And so she's back at work. So that's a good thing. So that lets you know that I always tell you, when we fight, we win, right? But we had to use our own attorney. Now, had she gone to arbitration, or if she was given the opportunity to go to arbitration, and she would have went with the union's attorney and she was terminated, she would not have her job back right now because the union wouldn't have allowed it. We've seen it happen in another case where Desmond St. Louis was spit on his bus. We got him an attorney, Mr. St. John, and an attorney fought to give Mr. St. John his job back. It was the union, TW Local 100, that stopped his case from going forward, and he was not able to get his job back. So when you're up for arbitration, when you're going to arbitration, if that, by any means you may be fired, I suggest and recommend that you get outside legal representation in case you have to further fight to keep your job. It's going to cost you a pretty penny. It would behoove you to start a little fund, so that you have a little purse in the time if you need to pay for a lawyer. But it's very important that you do so. So I'm not going to keep you any further. I hope this State of the Union address was good. I'll be coming to you more often. I'm back, and I will be going live more often to talk to you about our union and just to move you forward, and to give you updates and insights on different things. So once again, my name is Evangeline Byars, train operator. Have a good evening.